Despite all of Porsha Williams' scandalous behavior during her years on Real Housewives of Atlanta, her one comment threatening to go after Angela's marriage has garnered more backlash than she's ever received, causing even her fans to call her a mean girl, and Porsha herself claiming that the producers were setting her up to look like a villain on the show. And just like that, here comes Phaedra to the rescue again to deflect the attention from Porsha's gutter-like conduct and flip the narrative so that someone else can be looked at as the bad guy.
Exactly. And that is exactly what our girl Kenya Moore told us in that clip. She said, look at them.
Yep.
They are acting.
Yep.
I did say that.
And here we go again with fake and flake. If this isn't some you know what, I don't know what is. Because, of course, Porsha had to get away from that foul comment she made concerning Charles Oakley, Angela's husband.
Yep.
She had to get away from that because people are like, who does that?
Exactly.
What kind of person says something like that about another woman's, a colleague's husband?
Right.
What a debauchery.
Oh, you dirty mother.
What a foul statement. So yes, here comes Flake in for the rescue to deflect once again, bringing this old mess up concerning Kandi and who's kissing who.
Exactly. Which that had nothing to do with the whole scandal or the whole setup when it came to what Porsha ended up saying about Kandi and Todd. It had nothing to do with kissing. It was all about whether or not Kandi and Todd was trying to do something to someone without their consent.
Right.
And now they're changing this whole little thing, this whole narrative, because when Phaedra went on that Jason Lee show, and, you know, he was like, yeah, Kandi, it's been proven she has this dungeon and she does this and everyone gets a little whatever, you know. They're trying to make it seem like that was the issue. It's never been about her antics in the bedroom.
No.
It's always been about someone saying that she was going to do something against someone's consent with the use of substances. So they're trying to make that something that, you know, they're changing it. They're making that the conversation that it was about
Kandi's preferences.
And it's never been about that.
It's never been about that. It's about the unlawful, illegal thing that this girl spread concerning her putting something in someone's stuff.
Exactly.
And causing something like that, which is highly illegal.
Period.
They're deflecting.
Because now that's what everyone is talking about. It came to this because of that whole situation at the end of the show, for the last few episodes of the show, when that dude came in to Kelly's event, and said what he said to Angela.
Right.
And then Angela went and did her investigation, and they found out all the fingers, everything was pointing back to Phaedra.
Yeah.
And that was, again, to deflect from what Porsha had said during the season, earlier in the season.
Exactly.
And that's the crazy thing, because now, instead of anyone even talking about the nastiness that Porsha said, and the fact that she is someone who has done something like that in the past,
right?
Now they're all on this thing like, oh, Phaedra did this and Phaedra did that, and Phaedra. That's why you wonder why they brought Phaedra in at the last minute for just 4 episodes.
Exactly.
It was damage control.
Yes.
Damage control to put their princess back up on top again. Because now, even with her doing this Jason Lee interview and saying, you know, oh, she was penalized for something that no one ever even saw her say or do. And then having Porsha come out and respond, you already apologized at the reunion and apologized after for telling her the lie. Furthermore, she has already taken accountability with Kandi for repeating what Phaedra claimed she said. Let's move forward by truly learning from past mistakes. So here comes Porsha with this fake outrage, calling out Phaedra for something that they both was part of. And really the person who was more at fault was Porsha, because whether or not Phaedra said it, none of us ever heard Phaedra said it. What we did hear was Porsha spreading that around for that whole season.
That's right. That's exactly right. And here we're supposed to believe that this one person who has shown no ounce of accountability in anything, specifically saying what she was going to do to Angela's husband.
And then blaming it on the Henny.
Exactly. So we're supposed to believe this one person never showing accountability, but she's now confronting her so-called friend about her accountability and something that she knows she told her.
Yep. That's it's so fake.
These people, this is called, it was supposed to be reality TV, not live TV.
Right.
All it has been is a bunch of lies, deflection, and all kind of gaslighting.
Yeah.
Okay? Because no, you're not going to get away from what you said about this woman's husband.
Right.
And we're going to bring it to the forefront again, because you're not going to deflect and show a lack of accountability in this. Look, we are about showing the young people that it doesn't have to be like this.
Right.
And you can be called out on this mess.
Right.
And it needs to be called out. Our young ladies don't need to go into situations thinking that they have to lie their way through things, that they have to do things that are not becoming of who they are.
Exactly.
Our young ladies are not going to have to go through that life like this. And it is there for us to point out, no, you're wrong in that.
Right.
No, you shouldn't have said that about that lady's husband. No, Phaedra, we don't need you coming in here trying to deflect and keep people from seeing the truth.
Exactly.
She could hardly get her words together on that Jason Lee interview.
Exactly.
She was full of it. I'm like, girl, you an attorney and you having trouble getting your words together like this? Why? Because again, it's another lie. It's another deflecting. It's another gaslighting. These people's very souls are so discombobulated from one lie after the other. Their souls are very entangled in the darkness of these lies. Is anything worth that?
No.
A show is not worth your soul. This is reality TV. Where's the reality, you all? Where we are calling out the reality. The reality of it is, no, you were wrong, Porsha, for what you said. You were wrong, Phaedra, for these lies, for this deflection. The reality of it all is that your souls are very discombobulated because you don't know when to tell the truth.
You never can win when you're dirty, honey. You never can win.
They give it away in every single thing that they do and say. And they give the game away. Phaedra, as she's trying to go about, playing Captain Saver, whatever, for Porsha.
Right.
Again. She's going around during all these interviews. She was on Watch What Happens Live because they were doing a portion where the audience asked questions, and they were like, why did you come in talking about Angela's looks? And Phaedra was like, oh, well, she's a very nice looking woman, but I looked at her and I said, there's no way she's Porsha's age. And it's like, what does Porsha's age have to do with Angela and you coming in and saying anything against Angela? Now, see, I know they're trying to get people to say, okay, yeah, Angela and Porsha are the same age, but Angela looks older or whatever like that. But why is that on Phaedra's mind when she first meets this woman?
Right.
What does that have to do with anything unless Porsha and Phaedra have been behind the scenes talking about Angela, plotting and setting up stuff about Angela?
That's what
why
happened.
is that? Why are you bringing up, what does Porsha and Angela being the same age have to do with anything?
Not a darn thing. And this is what I'm talking about. They have been behind the scenes talking to each other about how they're going to set this up and how they're going to set that up. Okay? You know, this is just ludicrous.
It is. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then to get on here and do that whole fake outrage thing that she did so well in the season 9 reunion too. Because remember when they finally called Phaedra out, and again, like you said, Phaedra was back then, season 9, stumbling all over her words, she didn't hardly say anything, much like on this Jason Lee interview, when they ask her directly, it's like, well, not articulating anything at all for a lawyer. So when they called Phaedra out, why did you do that? What happened back on that reunion? And then the next thing you know, here's Porsha crying and, boo-hooing and, oh my God, all that. And said, I would have never said anything like that about someone unless you had told me it was true. All of that
acting like Kenya said.
Like Kenya said, they are acting their behinds off.
I didn't say that.
And here we go again. Act 3, scene 2. Here we go again.
Once again, these two have gotten together to throw a rock, hide their hand, gaslight, deflect, tell lies, present a narrative that everyone talks about to direct your attention to something else.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And y'all, the wonderful people in the comments, they see straight through it. They are on it. They said, Phaedra, you need to get off this show because you do nothing but lie.
Yep.
And then another person said, Phaedra, girl, I thought better of you than this because you have been nothing but a lappy for Porsha. Okay? They said, you have overtaken the Shamia lapdog syndrome. And they said Phaedra has been nothing but a disappointment because all she has done is come in there and replicate and try to clone herself to be something that Porsha can use instead of being the intelligent person that we all perceived her to be at one time.
Right.
And it's like, it's getting pathetic.
Yeah.
Okay? This is reality TV, not live TV, but it is becoming that. It is being known for, reality TV, nothing but live TV.
We don't need that. When the show first started years ago, it wasn't even about them having these intricate storylines and turning on each other and all this stuff like that.
Exactly.
It was these women living their best lives. Just having a good time. Yeah, that was shade. Yeah, that was whatever. But they were living their best lives. Now it's all of these lies. Production is coming up with, okay, you tell this and you do that. Let's bring this person in. Let's do that. And then the women are here taking these falls and doing these things that is not necessary for a good show.
And you don't need that. You don't need it, as you said, for a good show. Going back to the years and where it was with Kenya Moore's dream cast, as well as we could say that's our dream cast too. Those ladies were who they are. They were the queens of reality TV. They were the queens that showed their very lives in truth and authenticity. And what a pleasure to watch. A pleasure to watch. And now here we are. So yeah, you all better think about that dream cast that Kenya's talking about, because all the fans are looking toward that.
And for something better.
That's it. That's all.
All right, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.